Welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man, Stevens, and the old guy, Rob.
The famous Rob Charney Show.
And at some point, you're going to have to tell us where we can see that. And so we're just going to start with a bang and a word from our sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. They have online monthly game nights on Discord, so make sure you stop by their Facebook page for event times and dates. You can also grab a free quarantine version of the game straight off their website. Audacity, the unforgettable party game for mischievous people. And you guys just missed last Saturday one of their online game nights, so make sure you stay tuned to their website and when the next one will be. It'll be sometime next month.
Okay.
So the dream Disney World vacation is too expensive for the average American.
Oh, go color me surprised.
Let's see. Oh, where's the price?
Or not.
So more than 30 years, she was excited to return to her with her own children, but she was surprised how expensive everything had become. She told the Insider, she found the high cost of park admission particularly jarring. Everyone in my party did not want to pay $150 per ticket, but I assured them it was going to be an experience to remember.
Let's see. $150 a ticket?
Yeah.
Just a park?
For both parks or just one park?
What are we talking about?
This is Disney World. Yeah, I'm assuming it's per. I'm assuming this is just to get through the door.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But the other question is, does that include like the park hopper? Do you get to go to the separate one, or is this just like the Magic Kingdom? I don't see. It doesn't particularly say.
Well, considering everything that you get at Disney World,
but after visiting the parks this past March, encountering many additional unexpected expenses, Joan said she realized she had been right about it being an experience to remember, just not in a good way.
Well, March, so that was right before pandemic. So, or right at the start of it.
See, so the medium house
story's old.
Medium house income in America was $68,703 in 2019, an average of $5,725 a month. The park, it's roughly, let's see. Insider Research Public typical breakdown for a family of four visiting the parks for 5 days would be tickets for everyone and cost is $2,316 for 4 nights in a family suite and a budget hotel cost.
For a family of how many?
4.
Was that $2,500?
It's $2,316.
So basically $2,500 by the time you...
Suit up budget hotel cost is $2,617. At least expensive dining plan, least expensive dining plan for everyone came in to $1,100. Total cost for it was $6,033, and that doesn't include airplane transportation costs, snacks, souvenirs, parking fees, and extra meals not covered by the Disney dining plan.
So the couple of times that I took the family to Disney World, I got to tell you, even when we did it, was pretty damn expensive. I mean, it was something that we realized that was going to cost more than the average vacation, and it did. One time, of course, we included a Disney cruise. But, yeah, it was. It's never been cheap, so I'm not surprised by this. I mean, Disney's not afraid to charge for their product.
Yeah, they never have.
I always assume the reason why it costs so much is to eliminate a whole lot of people going. Like, because it's already so busy.
Well, yeah, right.
I always thought it was
it was made that high just simply to try to discourage some people from not coming.
And instead of having, we can only let so many people in the park. Because that's the only reason I don't see Disney being a multi-zillion-dollar corporation at this point. I'm just surprised that, that has to be the reason. Otherwise, why would the parks be so much bloody money?
Well, I'm assuming the overhead isn't cheap. I mean, they are in the business of making money. Now, yeah, everybody says, they're an entertainment company. Well, okay, but they still have shareholders. They still have people they have to respond to. They still have overhead. They still have an awful lot of expenses. Can you imagine how many lawsuits they probably get between all the parks in a year? So, I mean, they have to have a whole fleet of attorneys.
Food prices are outrageous. Jessica Sarver,
And again, always has been. All the prices have always been expensive.
Sarver of Pittsburgh told Insider when she visited this past March. Sarver said nearly $5 for bottled water. She has said add for 3 people to eat dinner cost us about $120 to $130 a night, which is one of the reasons why the meal plans make a lot of money. You pay everything up front.
Yeah.
Except for tip. But yet Disney, but that's everywhere. Like parks, movie theaters, you're never going to find a cheap bottle of anything or any cheap food anywhere.
Well, I mean, just go to a sporting event or whatever it may be, and it doesn't have to be in a Disney property, and it's expensive. You pay, for what you're going to pay for, let's say, $1 in the store. $3 to $5 is not unheard of for a bottle of water.
Yeah, I heard like beer at say like the Niners Stadium. I heard is like $10, $15. I've heard just everything is just outrageously priced.
Yeah, well, they have a captured audience, and they've got to pay those multi-million-dollar players a lot of money, and the stadium isn't cheap. So, and they have investors. Everybody's looking for their pound of flesh, right? So, yeah, these things are expensive, and rightfully so. I mean, if you're going to do it, expect it.
So in 2019, the ride of a lifetime, Robert Iger, former Disney CEO, touted one of Disney World's value hotels, Disney's Art of Animation Resort, as lodging options designed for people who want to come to Disney World with their kids and can't afford to spend hundreds of dollars a night on a room. It's $90. It's a decent place. Nice, clean, pleasant place. Except rooms at Disney Art of Animation Resorts are far cry from being $90 a night. They now start at a robust $259 a night.
Wow.
For 2 queen beds, and multiple kids don't like sharing one bed, or you need a place where the 5th person can sleep per night, the rate jumps to a very healthy $581. It's the very expense, Iger said, Disney wanted to avoid. $581 a night, cats alive. And wow. That's insane.
Not surprised.
No, I mean, I'm a huge mark for Disney as somebody who has a giant framed.
I love Disney.
I love the Disney parks are fun. They're just outrageously expensive.
Well, you enjoyed them as a kid, and so you always have that image and that idea behind it, and so sure, I totally understand it.
It was even fun as an adult.
And it's even fun as an adult.
So I'm just surprised, though, that they're so expensive. It's got to be to price people out of the market, because otherwise I think if they made it reasonable, they'd probably have to limit the amount of people that come in. Or they would say, okay, you have to have a hotel room and blank, 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 because otherwise, I don't know how you would do it.
The Disney World property is so different than the Disneyland property. And see, I think the properties around the Anaheim and the Disneyland properties, there's more opportunities for people to stay at hotels and motels other than Disney-owned that are fairly close to park versus Disney World, which kind of has, it's when it says world, it really is a world. It takes a bit to get to the park entrance.
Yeah, and it's all Disney. It's all Disney property.
It's all Disney property, and so although you see them advertised, only 15 minutes away from Disneyland at midnight, but
so my wife and I we did our honeymoon at Disney World, and we went to the Animal Kingdom Lodge, and it was like a 15-minute drive on a bus.
Right.
When you're,
hey, it's a huge property.
Oh, the whole thing that's massive.
Oh yeah, if people have never been there, they have no idea how big it is, and it takes time. There's no doubt about it, and there is not a scale of economy way of really going to a Disney property these days. And if you wanted to save up to it for it, that's either buy a new car, or go to Disney World. It's
go to college, don't go to college.
Yeah, go to college, don't go to college. Go to college, forget Disney.
It's amazing how expensive it is.
Yeah, it is expensive.
I'm not surprised. Disney at all. Anything that has to do with Disney is expensive. They make you pay for their property rights and their copyrights.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh no,
mean,
they don't just say, "Hey, sure, go ahead and." Fortunately, we fall under news, and I don't think we're going to be sued for this. But you start talking about Disney and you say anything negative, and there was a period of time where they went after everybody in the early years.
Who's saying negative things about Disney? I paid.
The Simpsons did for quite a bit, and Disney did not like them for a long time.
Yeah.
Come on, I'm the one who paid $25, 25 times the amount of the map I purchased to frame it. So obviously I'm a Disney mark.
Well, and it isn't like we haven't paid the big dollars that they wanted anyway. So, but it's been a few years for me. It's been a bit of time, but matter of fact, I think could this actually be true? The last Disney park I was at was Disney France, Disney Paris.
Yeah.
I think that was the last park I was at, and that was quite a while ago.
Euro Disney.
Yeah, Euro Disney. I forgot. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if you break it out per my length of life, Disney, you really haven't made that much off of me.
No, I love Disney. I just couldn't imagine, doing it every year. And I've heard now they're getting rid of the passes, which if you even live remotely close, or even if you're willing to do, say, from Northern California, the Southern California drive is probably the best way to do it. And if they're getting rid of those, then I just don't see it being worth it maybe every 10, 15 years. Because otherwise it's $6,000. That's a lot of money.
So
that's not chump change.
One of the things as a grandparent, my wife and I have talked about is what age is appropriate for us to take our grandchildren. And so we've been scratching our heads a little bit about it and did the Google a little bit about it.
The Google?
The Google.
And George Bush over here.
Yeah, this kind of came out. Yeah, I've been teasing everybody with this saying the Google lately.
I think it's hilarious. So.
Anyway. And so consensus seems to be about 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, somewhere in there would be the first experience to take a child.
I'll agree with that. I also think it depends on the kid, but I think, because I've seen people, take their kid that was younger, and it just seems not only do they not remember it, it seems like it'd be a somewhat miserable experience for the people taking a 3 or 4 year old. It would just be.
Yeah, you see it. I mean, you see kids in strollers all the time, and it seems to be a little young. Because and you're limited to what you're going to be able to go on.
You know why I think they actually bring their kids? Those double strollers.
Yeah.
From personal experience with my wife, the people just run people over with them. Because you get those side by side strollers with kids in them, people are just nerf you out of the way.
Okay.
If you say so.
Hey, I saw it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the funniest thing too about Disney.
I had a point.
Okay, go.
No, it just really, I know it's escaping me today. It's one of those days. So no, I think my idea was that, if you take a child when they're, 6, 7, 8 years old and you save up for it, we have decided for ourselves that, once we establish the fact that our grandson might be at the right age to go, then we'll probably pay to take the parents along to sit, because we're not going to. And but to bring our grandson along to enjoy the whole Disney experience under eyes that haven't been tainted yet. And that should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. So we're saving already.
It amazes me about Disney, and maybe it's because of my age, but if you pay attention to the media, the bloom is off the rose when it comes to Disney a lot. When I grew up in the 80s, early 90s, they started replaying the Wonderful World of Disney, the black and white things with Walt Disney, and, really started, pumping the park and there's a lot of magic in there. And I grew up getting to see that, on reruns and just saying, the magic of Disney. And now I think the magic is missing, and I don't know, is that just because it's a mature park? Is it because I'm older?
So,
because I know people who still have that.
I find an awful lot of difference between Disney media and Disney parks. I mean, just my point. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Maybe if you felt that made you more excited for Disneyland, Disney World, whatever it may be, that's fine. I just don't. I see the two as two complete separate entities.
I think that's a good way to view it. What do you think, James, as somebody who lived in SoCal for a portion of your life?
I've spent many, many days at Disneyland.
I didn't spend much time at Disneyland when I lived down there. I went twice when I lived down there.
Well, there you go. That's many, many days.
It's probably more than half the people who lived in Anaheim.
I
don't know
There's
anymore.
a lot of people that used to have what they used to give like season passes to people that lived down there in Southern California. You could buy a season pass and you can get a discounted price on going quite often. There's a lot of people I know that live near Anaheim and in Anaheim that have them. I don't think Disneyland is doing that anymore, but I never had one of those when I lived down there, and nor did I have interest in getting one. But there's people that go there, a couple times a year, or if they're closer, they'll go there for dinner and go into the park just to go to the restaurants.
So
and not really do rides or scenery or anything like that. They might go for fireworks too, but.
Well, having grown up in Santa Monica and going there fairly often, even going up through, starting in high school, we would take trips over there as high school kids. Disneyland must have been affordable if we could have afforded to go there at that time. So things have truly changed.
Yeah. Well, I know it used to be cheaper for people that live down in Southern California if they went with a ID and some resident form, something that proof of residence. They could get cheaper tickets than people that lived outside of, LA County. But I was always more of a fan of Six Flags. So I'd go to Magic Mountain over Disneyland. I enjoy the rides better. So if I was going to go to an amusement park, that's where I'd go over Disneyland.
See, I think that's almost apples and oranges, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The ride and experience is so much different.
So wouldn't you compare like Magic Mountain and Knott's Berry Farm kind of similar? Because it's the way I view them versus Disney is... And maybe this is because I'm a Disney mark. It's the je ne sais quoi. It's the entire experience at Disney. It's that Disney magic.
Yeah, to me, it's a completely different. Even though, the rides and all that, Magic Mountain and now Knott's Berry Farm are completely different as far as rides go because they're more oriented towards teenagers and adults.
And Great America, if that's still a thing.
I
think it is.
I don't actually know.
Okay, as far as I know, down in Southern California, the big parks are Six Flags, Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland.
Isn't there that Great America? We went one time.
Great America.
You know what I'm talking about, James?
Google it. The Google has it.
Yeah, Great America is Magic Mountain.
Oh, is it really?
There you go.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah. But it's Six Flags now, right? So must have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So that makes sense.
I did not know that because I just remember they had I think the new ride at the time when we went was that cliffhanger ride. Was that ride that would bring you up and it dropped you straight down and it would.
Yeah, at Six Flags?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or, Six Flags Great, whatever it was called. I remember that.
I don't know.
Well, I was going to say also, I have a friend of mine who I went to first and second grade with who have reconnected over the years from, and she's a huge fan of Disney and goes as much as possible and just loves the atmosphere. So I was thinking maybe it's just me being jaded and feeling that the corporate side of things have kind of taken away the magic for me. But the other thing, being a guy who's kind of in construction, I also start noticing some shady shit they've done. Like when I went to Disney World with my wife, I was noticing stuff that needed repair, and I was just noticing like how it just looked janky in some parts. And it's just like, oh, I wish I didn't actually know what to look for.
So I was on, I think was the one in Vallejo. No, it was Magic Mountain. I'm on that one, and I was in my wheelchair, and I'm riding up the elevator, right? And I look at the elevator, and the inspection notice on the elevator was at least 6 years past due. And I started laughing because I'm thinking like, okay, going up this thing, and if this thing fails, I'm stuck on this and I don't get to do the ride. But that would be hilarious if I go to a park and instead of the ride breaking down, the elevator to get on the ride breaks down.
Yeah, that'd be.
But yeah, after that, I started paying attention to the notices in the elevators at amusement parks. And, the ones at Disneyland that I've ever seen, they don't have very many that you have to ride to go up or down a floor to access the actual ride at Disneyland. There's not very many that have that there. Actually, Disneyland is very ADA compliant and using ramps versus elevators to get to their rides.
Well, because they're the masters of the people mover, where where you feel like you're going somewhere but you're not.
Yeah. So, but I've only seen I think three of those inspection notices on the elevators for those rides that have been outdated. But I just remember the one there. I was like looking at them like, I think. Yeah, this one's about 6 years past due.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's like a whoops.
Yeah.
So I'm going to switch away from Disney for a bit. And
okay.
I was on Reddit, and I noticed something interesting.
It's got to be real.
This is from redcap.healthinstitute.illinois.edu. It's for people who menstruate and COVID-19 vaccines. So basically, it's a voluntary research study. The purpose of the study is to understand the menstrual experiences of people who have after they had the vaccine for COVID-19. So on Reddit, after I found this, I did a little bit of searching. There's enough people, these people who menstruate, to be politically correct, who have had some pretty wacky experiences.
So, pardon me. Here's where I have a little bit of problem. So, in the beginning, who are the people that could be vaccinated? They didn't fall into generally the age group that we're talking about with people that menstruate. Okay, so I'm starting to look at I know you're the all believe it on Reddit, and you just love that site. But I got to tell you, when you start thinking about it and you start looking, the numbers can't be very large, even still, for that age group, because they're just now falling into, okay, come and get your shots.
Well, it's the comments, it's the comments themselves that generally Reddit is fairly self-aware, and people will usually call BS. And I was thinking, I don't know.
Can I go on it and say BS?
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm not a person who menstruates.
No. I'm just saying my
I'm
only
not either.
my only
well, none of us are.
My only thought is, if now there's been enough people to do it, like either this, there has to be at least a certain percentage that something weird happens, that they're doing a research study, because I just don't see the reason why anybody would spend the time, money, and resources for something that's not at least to some degree.
You got to understand the way research studies work. They're like every other shill out there looking for funding and to get money and to get things for their studies, and to, my guess is probably a PhD student trying to get something going, and they've got to pick a topic and something to be able to justify what they're what they're going to do with this money, and they need the money so they can add on to their PhD study. And so, what a good opportunity! I'm not saying that's not a bad study to actually do. I don't have a problem with that. But I just look at the timing and how many people, first you generally look for these studies in a certain geographical area, which normally is, a metropolitan city large enough with a large enough population.
Yeah.
So you got to look at that. And then you got to look at all the age groups, and you got to figure out, all the demographics that's going to be involved with it. And I'm just looking at, thinking, and I don't know anything about this. I may be wrong, but you telling me about what they're saying and what they're doing. I'm not 100% positive that.
Well, even if you had,
Sorry, I'm just skeptical.
No. I mean, that's why I brought it up, because I thought it was fascinating. Even if you have, I know 1% of the population, would that be enough to actually justify a study? And what you're saying makes sense. They're trying to, if it was 1%, they're trying to see, is it real? Is it imaginary? Could they just be trying to, throw spaghetti in the wall and see what sticks? I just thought it was interesting that the fact that this is a study that.
Well, I think you're going to find throughout our times moving forward from this COVID situation, I think you'll find a lot of medical studies of different things. I mean, whatever it may be, because you got to, whatever, however your feeling is about these vaccines, and I'm pro the vaccine. So you've got to look at, as doctors, are you seeing a certain symptom or something symptomatic that's coming through that you hadn't seen before, or possibly you're seeing new? And what could be causing it? Is it environmental? Is it something that we did because of COVID? Is it COVID itself? I mean, there's all these factors. So I believe we'll probably see a lot of studies moving forward with things as we go along here, because it's just going to be one more thing to throw in the mix of things to study. And I don't see anything wrong with that.
I think this is a lot of hyperbole. I mean, they're so focused on COVID and the vaccine right now that this is going to be news no matter how it goes out. There's been a lot of vaccines over the years that have different types of things that that people have different reactions to, and they do different studies, and that's why they always have a list of medications and vaccines and things like that.
Exactly.
That they all say these can be the side effects. But since this is COVID and this is big news, you're going to see this.
Oh, sure.
So
you're going to see it a big deal because, there's people, it's, if it bleeds, it leads, right?
So do you think
that's really what it is?
You're right.
COVID is the big topic right now. So, if it's like 100 people, but you've given out, let's say, 10 million vaccines to 10 million people, but there's 100 people, that's a freaking small ass percentage. That's normal for any medication or any vaccine that comes out, that there's going to be adverse side effects. But they're going to blow it out of proportion. It's going to be all over social media. It's going to be all over the news, and it's going to become a big deal. So it's going to be two sides of the coin. There's going to be people that are going to, I swear off the vaccine because menstruating people have an adverse side effect to it. Well, they say to talk to your damn doctor about it. So the doctor's going to say, if you're going to menstruate soon, let's say within a couple weeks, you shouldn't take the vaccine.
So do you think this is kind of a solution in search of a problem type of thing?
Well, no, I wouldn't even go that far. I think it's just one study being done with, like I said, one person looking to justify either their budget for their studies or whatever it may be. And as James said, because it's COVID time, or in COVID, it's the lead, everything's got a lead story with COVID. I mean, let's face it, all news is, COVID 24/7. CNN should change their name to COVID coverage and, go from there. So, I think it's a sign of the times right now. I really do. I think that's the reason why to be honest with you, the only place I heard about this was from you and Reddit. So you would think if it was really something major, all the major talking heads would be talking about it.
Reddit is kind of an obscure news source at best at times. So it's one of those things that it may not be reported because it may not just generate any views. So I'm not particularly surprised.
Some reporter somewhere that's going to be at a major network is going to look at, they're always looking for stories. So I guarantee you somebody there looked at the Reddit story because they troll Reddit to find stories. I guarantee you that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee you that. So this would be a story they would pick up, and if there was any validity at all, we would have heard it on CNN or NBC tonight.
Well, I'm not saying there isn't any validity to it. I'm saying that there possibly is quite a bit of validity to it, but they're using it as a means to an end to either, I doubt they're out there to warn people if you're menstruating, be aware of this. I think it's more of like not necessarily an anti-vaxxer, but somebody who's against the vaccine for COVID. That they're kind of like trying to hype up some scare.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't saying that there isn't a possibility of the validity of the story, but it's the validity of the story from Reddit that has me in question.
Well, they posted the link to the survey, and the actual person who submitted it to this section of Reddit said there's been a number of people reporting about this issue. If you've had this issue, submit it to them. I have no idea one way or another. I just thought it was interesting that that there was a study that kind of that kind of surprised me.
There's you ought to see the studies that are out there that are being published by everybody from. It's unbelievable. You got to understand how this world works for PhD students and people trying to get funding for their studies and all that. You could come up with somebody wanting to study, the sex life of a tsetse fly, right? I mean,
but what?
Tsetse fly?
Tsetse fly. Okay. I didn't hear that last part. I was like, a what fly?
Anyway, I could have used a better example, but the point is that there are so many studies in this country alone, let alone around the world, that are done on some of the most arcane or maybe most bizarre things that you ever look at. You go, somebody actually allowed a budget to be used to study something. I mean, it really is crazy. Just look it up. Start using the Google.
I was going to make a Dr. Livingston joke, by the way. You got saved from a very bad joke. So,
good.
What launched in September 5th, 1977?
What launched? Are you talking about space launch? No, you're talking
space
about
launch.
Space launch in 1977. 76, 77. Help me here.
Voyager 1.
Oh, yes.
So, how the most distant object made by humans is spending its dying days. Voyager 1, which is, by the way, considerably outside of our solar system in what they're calling interstellar space, continues to observe the farthest corners of the solar system, but it may not be for long.
Oh, is it finally starting to... It's been starting to kick the bucket for the last 20 years.
Yeah, so they're basically saying it's old, it's having issues, plus the fact it's one of these things that sends a signal that takes forever to get back to you.
Can you imagine how many years that's been out there doing its job and reporting back, and we can't get our cell phones or our televisions to last more than 2 or 3 years now. I mean, just can't do it. So good on that. That's good old American know-how at its best.
I'm more surprised that NASA still has the equipment to actually communicate with it.
I believe it's monitored by JPL, and I think that it's just basically listening. I'm not even sure they can send a signal out that far that it will receive, but it can still send a signal that we can listen to.
See, for decades, Voyager has been sailing away around 11 miles, 17 kilometers every second. Each Earth year travels another 3.5 AU, the distance between the Earth and the Sun, away from us. Now it's sending messages home, even as it prepares to leave the solar system behind.
Yeah, it was never designed to.
Didn't they say it was going to leave the solar system like a couple of years ago?
Yeah, they did. How old is that story, by the way?
Let's see. This was
because James is right. They've been reporting
April
this for years.
April 28th, 2021.
Okay, so they've been reporting the same story basically for the last few years about it's dying and it's leaving the solar system.
I think because this one talked about they discovered something new, and I can't figure out. There are multiple ways to think about the edge of the solar system. One is the boundary region called the heliopause. That the frontier where the solar winds, the super, the charged particles,
and the contractions
continues thrown off by the sun is too weak to hold off interstellar medium, the plasma dust and radiation that fills the bulk of space. When Voyager left Earth in 1977, nobody was certain where the heliopause was, according to Bill Kurth. an astrophysicist at the University of Iowa who was working with Voyager 1. So it just wasn't super interesting story. This was from popsci.com if anybody wants to find it. I was just amazed they were still getting signals from it.
Yeah, and it takes quite a while to get a signal back.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're probably really old signals.
Yeah, they've been going for a while.
So, Rob, do you know who Mark Walter is? John, do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, help us here.
He's the CEO of Guggenheim Partners with a net worth of $5.3 billion.
Okay.
What do you think he's doing with that money?
Porn.
Enjoying life. I don't have a clue.
Nope. And nope.
Nope and nope.
Currently, he is slowly buying up Crested Butte, Colorado.
Oh.
He's slowly buying the town.
Okay. What the
And
heck
no one knows why.
So it's a billionaire is just as property goes on the market, he decides to buy it in that particular town.
Yeah.
So
But he's so far bought, where is it? I think it was 9 different buildings. And yeah, just commercial properties and just different buildings that he's just slowly buying up. And nobody knows why.
I have to be honest. If I was a billionaire, I would totally do something like that.
Just to mess
For no
with
reason.
people.
Yeah, for no reason.
Just to mess for people.
Just to be Dr. Evil and say, you see that? I own that. Oh, you see that? I own that too.
Well, see, here's a good plot. We could say that messengers in the future came back to tell us that we need to buy property in that town and own it right now because in the future they're going to find deposits of lithium underneath the town, and he's going to own all the lithium that's left in the world.
I think you're better off saying that with Mark Zuckerberg, who just bought up 600 more acres of Hawaii. Which apparently I've heard is really hard to buy property in Hawaii because of the way it's...
What island? Because some of those islands are pretty rural.
Well, so I heard you have to... I've heard the way it works is difficult, but I don't remember... The tech billionaire and wife Priscilla Chan snatched up 600 additional acres off the island of Kauai. An existing online petition demanding that Zuckerberg stop. I'm sorry. Stop colonizing the Aloha State is now well over
Zuckerberg's colonizing Hawaii.
Over 1 million signatures as of Saturday. The pair purchased land for $53 million, which, by the way, is a drop in a bucket for this year for that young man.
Yeah, it is.
From the local nonprofit, and I am seriously bad at Hawaiian words.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
WAIOLI Corp, according to the Pacific Business News. The couple now own more than 1,300 acres on Kauai, known as the Garden Island, for its extensive tropical rainforests.
So he's probably just building a buffer around his own lands anyway, so it's not like he's going to go out and build apartment buildings.
That's nice. Yeah. That's a good buffer.
Yeah.
Isn't
that nice? In Hawaii, he's probably got his own oceanfront lapping up on his doorstep somewhere. And
so this is from New York Post. In 2017, the social media lord filed suit against Native Hawaiians owning tiny parcels around his land to force them to sell their lots so he could enhance his privacy. By the way, I love the word of choice, the social media lord.
The wording of the whole thing is very interesting, the way they put it.
That's not leading the audience.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of billionaires... Yeah, you heard the big news for today is Bill and Melinda Gates. Bill Gates and Melinda Gates announced that they are divorcing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Huh. Bill and Melinda are splitting up, and this should be very interesting to see how this plays out in court and who gets what. The insiders have said that there was no prenup for this. So Melinda's going to... Well, Chris, they've been married for, almost 30 years, I think. And so...
I think longer than that. But no, you're probably right. 30 years, yeah.
94.
Okay, so...
I guess
94, so yeah.
So I guess to...
almost 30 years.
So, yeah. So she's going to get a good chunk no matter what. And since they basically have been working, she got in this marriage early enough when he was still with Microsoft.
Alimony.
Oh man, she's fine. The kids are fine.
Oh,
Bill might have to get rid of that big fancy house that's probably dilapidated by now.
So I guess she's no longer blinded by science.
Can you imagine the
quote the
software
song.
updates on that house?
Not only that, how many times they had to change out the monitors that were built in the walls that were originally plasma monitors, I believe. And, and
that too.
All the updates that had to be done from the time you built that place.
Actually, for me, I'm just wondering how many times you get out of the shower and he's stuck because the fucking thing blue screen. It's like, I hate Windows.
Yeah, I started in Windows 95 days. Right?
I was going to say, he probably went back to Windows 95 because that was the best one.
Windows 3.1. That just worked.
So I got a question for you guys.
All right.
What does, airplanes, yachts, and Mad Max all have in common?
A fun afternoon.
Yachts and Mad Max.
Yep.
Why did you tell us?
Mel Gibson.
So there isn't too much Mel Gibson. So
they're all being combined into one super yacht that is referred to as the Mad Max super yacht. Designer came up with a concept to take old planes that are no longer being used, taking the jets and combining them into a yacht that is going to be called the Mad Max. Because airplanes are no longer being bought up like they used to be. Apparently, there's not millionaires and billionaires out there buying jets anymore.
Must be a shortage of pilots.
But yachts are being bought up now. I guess people are deciding that cruising around on a yacht for a few months is a lot better than taking a jet to some closed country that you can't enter anymore. And so they're buying yachts. So this guy decided to take the jets that are being decommissioned or no longer used, buying those up, and taking the engines and putting them into yachts to use jet-powered yachts.
Okay, well, that sure begs a lot of questions. Have any of you people ever stood around a jet engine?
Are we talking about like a Harrier engine, or are you talking about the 747?
Well, we've pretty close to all jet engines. I mean, even if you've ridden on a commercial jet, you realize how large and how loud those jet engines are.
Well, they're going to be inside in the Mad Max theater watching Mel Gibson in the loincloth.
I guess. I mean, come on. It's just like this is going to become a real thing. Because
I do wonder now. So if nobody's buying airplanes, could I buy the fuselage of the 747 and make like a hideaway somewhere?
Yeah, I'm sure you could. If you have enough money, you can buy anything you want.
I think that would be fun.
Dig it under, put it underground so it's like a bunker.
It's round. You could. It's fairly stable.
Well, you could do part of it. You want to have pride in ownership, so you want to have it up on stilts so that everybody can see that you're living inside a 747.
No, I don't want anybody to know it's there. I mean,
but you guys should look up the Mad Max super yacht concept. It looks pretty cool. I just don't know, as Rob was saying, I'm not too sure about it working. And I mean, I don't know how quiet
salt water
that's going to be. Like you kind of said, is like, I mean, there's got to be something. I know.
What a great gimmick.
What is the boat I can't think of that uses the jet propulsion? Was that that was the one that we used in Vietnam? Like the jets. You use the jets propulsion like in a jacuzzi. What was that boat?
So they're not a jet engine, but I know what you're talking about. They're a thruster powered engine. So a number of our patrol boats, littoral boats is generally what they call them, are turbine powered. So So I'm wondering if that's the kind of concept he's going with, because that's the only way that I could think of it working. But I don't know how you would transfer that from a jet propulsion into
that.
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean, where it would use jet fuel.
So
How you would switch that out?
So I'm looking at the picture right now, and this is off of CNN. So it looks.
Off of
pretty
CNN. Okay, CNN covered it.
So it looks.
Got to be a real story then.
So it looks like they have two of the airplane engines above the main deck. I don't know if there's anything below it, but it's like towering above the deck where the smokestacks would be. I'm kind of curious, like how would you be? Because they showed dining tables. I wonder, like, how exactly is somebody going to be eating dinner next to
the jet engines are out on wings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just like, I'm thinking of like, there's got to be pollution coming off that.
There's all
water,
kinds
so
of.
I don't see it coming out of that and being something that people are going to be buying up.
Yeah,
I can see it too. Honey, how you doing? What? Hey, honey, pass the what? I just don't see that going well. And talk about not going well, we got another message for you. Do you want to keep up to date on the maddest of the mad at the MadTrio podcast? Check out our social media feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or go to themadtrio.com. And that was the worst switch over ever.
Bad segue.
Bad segue.
Oh, I'm sure you've done worse.
Maybe.
I wouldn't go as far as
I don't know.
say
That's
it's
going to
worse.
be in his top 10.
Yeah, that's got to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to admit, it looks really cool. I just cannot
Looks
see.
cool. Well, sure. I mean, I love Mad Max too. So I see now. For me, I envision it looking rusty and bolted on and things jutting out.
It doesn't look like Mad Max. It looks more like a 1950s
That's
version
what they're
of
naming it. Yeah, I didn't think it looked like Mad Max anything.
it
Yeah,
looks,
you're right. It looks more like a
1950s
sci-fi.
Yeah, retro.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think it has the, what do you call it? They used to have it when it goes really fast. It would lift, the boat would lift up and be on planes.
Yeah, hydroplane.
Hydroplane.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean,
Yeah, that's a good way.
I don't know.
That's a good idea, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
it's clever. I mean, if you've got all this stuff, I mean, I just
Hey,
think
you know,
it's
and if you
hilarious.
got all the money in the world, what the heck? You know, you got to add one more toy to your inventory for our 1% out there with more money than they know what to do with.
So they're going to be selling it to Putin and Saudi Arabian princes.
And Elon Musk.
No, Elon Musk's
He'll buy his own, build his own.
He's trying to go to Mars.
He's trying to go to Mars. They sent his car there, so he'll have his car.
So yeah, he recently said in an interview saying, yeah, most people who are going to go to Mars are going to die.
It's true.
And
That's what I've been saying all along.
and every time I see Elon Musk, I always picture him going, yeah, and everybody going to Mars is gonna die. It's like, I don't know why. I always expect him to be like that.
It's anything but.
He's so intelligent, you can actually see the wheels going, spinning, going, how do I say this so that the dumb person understands it? Like, watch his Joe Rogan podcast, his interviews on Joe Rogan's podcast. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, we just give it a shout out to Joe Rogan.
Oh, Elon Musk, I guess, is
Like
either
he needs them.
Yeah,
he's
like he
either
needs them.
going to be or was on SNL, and a lot of the SNL
this
people
Saturday. It's this Saturday. It's
they
gonna
were
be.
really pissed at it. I think it's hilarious.
I'm not 100% certain I understand why they're so mad that, somebody like Elon. He's funny. I mean, the things I've watched him on, I mean, he's, for somebody as intelligent as he is, he's also very funny, which is
He's
not normal.
He's hilarious on Twitter.
Yeah.
He's absolutely hilarious. He trolls people left and right. Like, I'm actually surprised he hasn't gotten in more trouble, because the SEC's starting to get after him a couple of times when he mentions stocks, because like he'll mention GameStop and it'll be like a 10% rise.
It's crazy. He did something. There was his tweet yesterday or day before yesterday was really funny until people actually understood what he was saying, and all of a sudden he did it in his brilliant scientific way, funny things. And it was very funny. And then they went, well, wait a minute, that's very obvious. And they all thought it was a great. He did it just to troll people. It was pretty funny. So, speaking of Elon, SpaceX is going to launch a quarter of its Starlink satellites in this next. Well, no, excuse me. Let me back it up. One rocket from SpaceX has launched a quarter of SpaceX Starlink satellites. So this is talking about the reusable reusability of SpaceX's rockets, right? And so the whole idea behind this is the fact that he's got a rocket out there sending up their satellites that has been in space. It's been launched over 9 times just for this one rocket alone. And he's got a number of other rockets that are reaching that milestone and more.
That's amazing.
It's,
it can. Didn't they rebuild every, like, for the Saturn V's and Apollo? Didn't
there were
they?
One-offs.
That's going to say
they're all one-offs. The Saturn V, every single one was a one-off.
So I think I found out why the SNL's pissed off.
Okay, why is SNL pissed
So from 4/24/2021, let's find out just how live Saturday Night Live really is. By the way, this is hilarious. Literally in the middle of nowhere, it's like, I love Art Deco. And there's a bunch of other tweets about Saturn or whatever. And he goes, Baby Shark and Shark Tank merged to form Baby Shark Tank. It's just, SNL skit idea, woke James Bond. It's just.
So these are all Elon tweets?
These are all Elon, yeah. And it just, you think the guy who's a millionaire, who's incredibly smart, would be doing something else. No, he's just throwing out random tweets.
It's whatever just pops in his head.
I think it's hilarious.
Yeah. Wonder what kind of phone he uses.
Rotary.
No. I mean,
Probably
is
he
it an
made his
Android or an
own.
Apple? What do you think he is?
Flip phone.
He probably made his own.
Probably made his own. Yeah, you may be right.
Yeah, he probably still uses a razor.
Who knows? I'm just curious. Just think of he's probably got a very encrypted phone as well for actual business stuff. So he's using some of the end-to-end encryption for phones and texts.
I'd be surprised if he had a smartphone, to be honest.
Oh, come on. He probably has one with, never mind.
With what?
He could geek out, scientific calculator built in. He's got all this, he needs to figure out a formula real quick. He could do it on his phone. A way he doesn't have to carry a slide rule anymore.
Really? A slide rule? You being the last generation who used one.
Hey, I bet he's so smart, I bet he could figure it out.
I've actually typed it in. What phone does Elon Musk use? I'm trying to see, there's one on Quora.
Quora, yeah.
Let's see. Elon Musk has utilized a number of phones from the last few years. Up now, he is utilizing an iPhone, which has been, and this is from 2021 of May 1st, which was seen somewhere in a meet. Already, he was utilizing an Android phone from HTC OEM. As per reported, he was utilizing the HTC U11, which was on the previous Android smartphone at the time. So apparently, right now, he's an iPhone user.
He's an iPhone. Okay, so it goes back and forth.
I am kind of surprised that he actually uses a smartphone, though.
Why?
I don't know. You just think the guy would be so intelligent that he's like, eh.
Well, I don't care how intelligent you are. You still need the tools that are built into these things. So what better than to carry just one item? And since he lives on Twitter, you pretty much have to have a smartphone. Or not. Okay, so dead space, dead air.
No, something happened with James's connection, so I am going to recall.
We lost James?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, no. Well, anyway. One of the things I was curious about, I want these...
James, can you hear me?
Yeah, okay. I can.
I want these Starlink satellites to get launched because I'm supposedly in the beta and I haven't heard from Elon in months.
Elon, like your best friend.
Yeah, hey, we're on first name basis. This is...
It says.
Anyway, yeah, I've been waiting for Elon to call me and tell me, hey, you get your beta finally. And he hasn't done it yet.
So I ran into an article because we're running
out of time.
Close out of time.
You want to close this out? Out.
It was talking about how DVDs and Blu-rays are running out of life. They're going to stop at some point soon. They're going to stop producing them.
Oh. I wondered what you meant because I thought, the discs are actually going to fall apart.
Well, there is such thing as bit rot that these discs do actually go bad.
The ones that are, but the ones that you burn for yourself.
I've heard they've also found it on the regular ones in some degree. The older ones have bit rot.
Well, they're stamped out of aluminum. You know how the.
Yeah.
All right. So how do those rot? Okay.
I've heard it, but I haven't seen it. So here's my thought was the fact that because internet is not ubiquitous. So without DVDs and all this stuff, you would basically be cutting off a giant segment of the world.
Well, there is a lot of the world that doesn't, like you said, can't stream. They don't, they're still on dial-up. So
or they use their, like in Africa, I've heard they use a lot of cell phones. Now the question is, would they have, and I don't actually know this, would they have enough bandwidth in the bush in Africa to like stream a movie or do like a video call? I mean, so I just don't see the fact that they're going to get rid of Blu-rays or VHS, or Blu-ray. I just don't see it being a good idea.
CDs and DVDs.
Especially now, you can't own anything. Like when you buy a DVD, you're actually buying a license for that. Yeah. Like when you buy a movie from Amazon.
Come and take it away from me.
When you buy a movie from Amazon, you cannot download it. There is no actual way to download it besides their offline mode, which is still within the universe. Apple's actually running into the same issue with their buy now thing. So I dislike that. I don't like buying digital content because somehow, a guy bought $24,000 worth of stuff and Apple did something and he lost everything.
He lost it all? Oh, come on.
Yeah, no, he lost. They turned off his account and he's actually suing him or was going to.
Well, I would because you have credit card records. I'm sure he didn't pay cash.
No, but here's the problem. When you purchase it, Mike, my question on this is when you purchase it, are you actually purchasing it or are you purchasing the right to
an actual license?
Well, but are you actually purchasing a personal license or a license to view it from Apple? So therefore, Apple has the right, even though you spent money, to revoke your access to it. So that's the thing I don't like. I'm old school. I like having the actual medium in my hand.
Okay.
Well, hey, it's not uncommon because, for example, on cell phones, Apple can delete apps from your cell phone.
It's true.
So if you bought all of your favorite movies and you spent 10 grand and then one day you did something Apple didn't like and then boom, you lost everything you spent on it. You have no way to access it because you never actually downloaded it. Mm-hmm. That's the issue I have. And it's an old story because it's happened a number of times when people have bought music from companies and once their DRM servers go down, you can't ever play it again.
No, right. Absolutely. I understand. I don't know.
What do you think, James? That is if you care.
I personally think that Apple is bullshit. And if you buy something, it should be yours, no matter who it is, even if it is Android, Apple, Google, whatever the fuck, you buy it, you should be able to do it. And now, if it's like on Apple TV and you're streaming something on there, yeah, of course you don't own it. But if you pay them money for anything on there and it's become yours, like you actually purchase it. Like so you can watch it at any time or as much as you want, then they shouldn't be able to take it away from you or do any of that shit.
Well, so are we waiting for a court case to come out and say, okay, this is the definitive?
They're gonna have to.
They're gonna have to make a ruling on this because I agree with James. I think it's BS, but
because they use words like purchase.
Nobody reads the end user licenses on anything. As a matter of fact, there was another article just recently, and one of the things I was reading talking about this, and there was some guy begging people read those end user licenses before you really spend any kind of money on this stuff. Really understand what you do and don't own. So there's something to it. So it will end up in court.
Because I didn't actually know this until I bought one episode of something on Amazon and then realized, shit, I can't download it. There's no way that I could put it on a hard drive at all. You can download it in offline mode, but it's still within their bailiwick. So you really do not own it. You can't do anything from it unless there's software that allows you to forcefully remove it from their server.
So not everybody has high-speed broadband like some people. Mm-hmm. And aren't you limiting the market quite a bit when you're doing things like that? You can't actually download it. I mean, there used to be the time where we wanted to download something that was in those days just like a few megs, and it would take
All day.
it'd take all day, and you'd start it when he went off to work. You'd start the download, and hopefully it'd be done by the time he got home.
All just for a picture of Pamela Anderson.
That's it. And so I don't quite understand how they're doing that. I mean, do they have multiple license abilities? I mean, if you're, in other words, hey, I want to buy the actual media that it comes on so I can view it. So often the only choice you have for that particular movie that you bought is to buy it from their services.
Because Apple got in trouble specifically for the wording purchase. So my assumption, and I don't actually know this, that at some point in time it may be like renting or view or... Now, I actually have a couple of Apple things that I actually downloaded. Now, I don't know what happens now because I literally don't buy digital content. I do not
did
like
you
it.
download them onto your actual hard drive?
Yeah, I downloaded them to my hard drive. And so that's the thing I don't understand is, A, you should be able to, if you bought it, you should be able to download it. But I don't, this whole thing confuses me. This is why I still collect movies, much to my wife's chagrin. I buy DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah.
It's why I have like 500 and something of them is because...
You got to stop going to those flea markets and picking up all those.
Hey, I like bootleg copies of Perry Mason. Leave me alone. You can't find the original Perry Mason on DVD.
You can't?
No.
Oh, darn.
And
Really?
I
love
love...
talking to him about all the episodes of old-time radio that we listen to.
Well, that's another legal gray area. But unfortunately, we have run out of time.
Yeah.
So, anybody have any last words?
I wish Bill Gates the very best moving forward with his divorce.
I'm sorry you're going to have to move into the billionaire flop house. I hope you enjoy your Dom Perignon and caviar. I mean, I know you're going to have to get the lower grade one.
And maybe that'll teach you to give away $20 billion of your fortune to your foundation.
Yeah.
And not taking advantage of it like any other people.
Yeah. All us little people.
So, James,
Yeah.
any final words?
Giggity.
Giggity?
No.
Well,
Okay.
from the California Pride, the fat man and the old guy, as always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.